Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else in the audience, everybody, you're very welcome. I can see people waving at me now. We just need everybody just a little bit of hush, please, and we can get started. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Oakley. I'm the Dean here at Southwark Cathedral, and it is my pleasure and honour to welcome you here to Southwark Cathedral this evening. Frankly, I couldn't be more pleased to be able to host these awards here this evening. At a time when we've never had so many words, but never been so disinclined to believe them, at a time when the boundaries between facts and opinions and lies are publicly disappearing, and at a time when there is a lot of heightened self-promotion coupled with low self-awareness, this is when we need writers and poets and translators who are passionate and fearless in the search for and the sharing of truth, and through the many rich and malleable forms in which truth can be expressed and celebrated. And when many are trying to be examples of power at the moment, the poets and writers at their best show instead the power of example and unlock a gymnasium for underused imaginations, calling out to human empathy and a more substantial understanding. And that's why we're here tonight, because this needs not only celebrating but also promoting and preserving. Today, what we are doing in here is almost a revolutionary act, and I'm very pleased to say, count me in. Wallace Stevens said we ought to love poems in the same way that children love the snow. That snowfall in the inner life, a slow settling of words that changes your landscape, both internally and politically. The snowfall that helps us spy our own breath and start shoveling a different path, is also the art not only of the poet, but of the creators of fiction and of non-fiction. There is much around at the moment that would prefer dishonest simplicity to an honest complexity. But the work we acclaim this evening refuses to play that stifling game that takes the oxygen out of our air, but uses words in loyalty to a shared future and a more comprehensive, open, and generous, if I may use this word tonight, soul. So I not only want to congratulate the shortlisted writers tonight, I want to thank them very deeply and to say that you are always welcome to Southwark Cathedral. And please let me know if I can ever do more to help promote the urgency as well as the beauty of human generative language. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the Reverend Oakley. Another fantastic speech. Thank you so much. That was really wonderful. Good evening to you all, everyone. Whether you're joining us online via the live stream or whether you are in person here in Southwark Cathedral, thank you for joining us. I'm Vanessa Fox O'Loughlin. I'm the chair of the Society of Authors, but I have two identities. As an author, I write adult and YA crime as Sam Blake. And as an author, I work in isolation, as many of you do. So connecting with fellow writers is vitally important, even more so today as authors face significant challenges within the industry. This is where, for me and the 12,500 other authors, the Society of Authors comes in. I'd like to remind and to encourage all our authors here today, new and established, that the Society of Authors is your union. I know that many of you here tonight are members, thank you. But if you're not a member, we'd love you to consider joining, to connect, to share, but most importantly, to lend us your voices. You, our members, help us to campaign and lobby on issues that really matter to authors. The Human Authored Scheme launched earlier this year at the London Book Fair and enables authors to declare that their work has been created by a human and not by generative AI. We've been delighted with the reception to the initiative, which now has over 1,300 human subscribers and so far over 2,000 books registered on the system. It's become a beacon for authors who want to champion the art of human creativity, and it helps readers identify the work of authors created with uniquely human skill and originality. You can find out more about the scheme via the Human Authored webpage on our website. This year, the SoA has been working across the sector with creative rights organisations, publishing the Brave New World report and calling on government to adopt an ethical framework, the CLEAR framework for AI technology that's based on consent, licensing, ethical use, accountability, transparency and remuneration. And whilst government may have backed down on some policies, thanks to our collective campaigning, there is still a vast gap between their words and intention and real action. As authors and creators, it's important to keep up the fight for fair terms, for transparency, and fair reward where our human-created copyrighted work is used. And next month, we're excited to be launching a refreshed visual identity, which means an evolution of our logo and colour palette, as a dynamic forward-facing organisation with a rich heritage. Our brand is evolving to reflect the changing landscape for authors and the critical role that we play. It's a new look, but with the same unwavering voice of authors for 140 years, so do keep a lookout for that. Now, I'm going to hand you over to your host for this evening, SoA board member Helen Epega, who some of you might remember from last year. Helen is a British-Nigerian writer, composer, performer and inventor. And alongside her literary and artistic work, Helen is the inventor of Haiku, a patent-pending innovation inspired by her experience of synesthesia, which is being developed to make cultural experiences more accessible and inclusive. Over to you, Helen.
Good evening, and thank you to Vanessa Fox O'Loughlin. My name is Helen Epega, and I'm thrilled to introduce our keynote for this evening, Cerrie Burnell. Cerrie Burnell is an author, actor, ambassador, best known for work on CBeebies, a role which has earned her critical recognition and a devoted fan base. During her time on CBeebies, she has broken down barriers, challenged stereotypes, and overcome discrimination to become one of the most visibly disabled presenters on children's TV. Cerrie is the author of 16 children's books, including Snowflakes, which she adapted for the stage with Oxford Playhouse in 2016, and the Harper series, which was a World Book Day title in 2016. As well as creating her one-woman show, The Magical Playroom, which premiered at the Edinburgh Fringe. Her non-fiction book, I Am Not a Label, was an Amazon US 20 Best Children's Non-Fiction Book of 2020 and was the overall Children's Choice winner of the SLA Information Book Awards 2021. Wilder Than Midnight, her inclusive fairy tale retelling, was Indie Bookshop Book of the Month and Blackwell's Book of the Month for May 2022 and was shortlisted for the first ever Adrian Prize and Sheffield Book Prize. Cerrie is the founder and creative director of Stories by the Lake Literary Festival. She lives in South London, but loves the sea and is forever dreaming up stories. Over to you, Kerry.
Thank you so much, Helen. Well, good evening and welcome to the Society of Authors Awards ceremony and summer party. Yes, that's the right response. In the spirit of inclusion, I'm going to audio describe myself. I'm a white woman somewhere in my 40s. I've got blonde hair that's quite messy. I've got a pink headscarf on, a lot of makeup. I'm wearing an absolutely gorgeous lacy dress, and I've got 2 disabilities. An upper limb difference, I was born with one hand, which you can see, and then I'm also highly dyslexic, which you can't physically see unless you're my editor, proofreader, agent, or accountant. Then you would definitely be aware of it. What a luminous honour it is to be part of such a legendary and necessary award ceremony held in this historic building. An evening celebrating wonderment, imagination, tenacity, the wild glory of language, the uplifting joy of success, the welcome delight of recognition, along with the familiar exhaustion of disappointment, the financial uncertainty, the hope, the loss, the elation or frustration, the grit, the grace, the courage, the calling, and the heart-soaring loveliness of being a writer. Winning awards is not the reason that any of us write, because that soft enchantment happens without ceremony. But it certainly helps to be on such an illustrious list with the added possibility of money. Why is money important? Because everyone deserves to lead a beautiful, abundant life, and there is little financial security in writing, or indeed many creative endeavours. To write is an act of risk and excitement, a commitment to hope and the gleaming power of imagination. It's like tightrope walking in the dark. It's both the heartbreak of falling and the elation of winning. And I wish everyone in the room tremendous luck. Most people in the room were readers before they were writers. Now, due to my dyslexia, I couldn't read independently until I was 9. Age 7, I was moved down a year, and my lovely mum, who is here tonight, told me that one special person, that's her, my lovely mum told me that one special person is chosen by the teacher every year to spend an extra year with her. And I believed it, and it was in some ways true. But the words reluctant reader, or slow, or not very bright, were never used. I may not have been a reader, but I was most definitely a dreamer, as all children are. I grew up in a house of stories. I lived and breathed fairy tales. My grandmother read me Alice in Wonderland in a room full of dust and sea salt and awful dying moths that I've never forgotten. I can't imagine growing up without Alice or Wendy Darling or Little Red Riding Hood, or without going to the enchanted woods where there was a faraway tree with a ladder that led through the clouds to a different land every day. But that is what would have happened. I would have been denied those stories had my parents, family, and teachers not patiently read to me. Even my poor dad, who couldn't read very well himself until he was in his 20s, had to suffer by reading me the brilliant commercial and very 80s Rainbow Bright. He slowly read me the same page of the same book again and again and again over one weekend. And on Sunday night, I stood up and I held the book and I proudly narrated the entire page, word for word. Now, my mum was away. She would probably have realised what was happening. But my dad was so spellbound, he rushed to school the next morning and announced to my teacher, "It's a miracle, she can read." And my lovely teacher, the one I was with for 2 years, took a long sigh and then stood me up in front of the class, and I read the first page with the biggest smile on my face. And then my teacher turned the page, and I hadn't memorized the second page, so I just stared at my shoes and I went very quiet. But it was a miracle of sorts, because that was the moment I became a performer, a storyteller. All children are storytellers if they are allowed to be, because telling stories has nothing to do with spelling or grammar. It's about heart and joy and expression. There are many reasons people become writers, and all of them can be true at once. One, they are creatively driven and want to pay the mortgage or buy a fabulous frock. Two, they are awoken in the middle of the night by the words of the book singing to them in the language of dreams and ink, until, overpowered, they must write it. Or three, the publisher is looking for a story about inclusion and the marvel of a community, but they're thinking set on the water. They're picturing a disabled duck who befriends a lonely frog, and together they win the fight against the dragonflies, a community who've been historically ostracized. But by the end of the book, everyone is welcome at the lake. Do you think you could squeeze your beautiful, heartfelt idea down to fit this pitch? We need diverse stories as urgently as we need children to fall in love with books, but it has to be done well, with care and intention. We have to allow disabled, deaf, neurodivergent and diverse writers to tell the stories they choose. The pearly gates of publishing can be extremely hard to break through for anyone. I am someone who is at the axis of intersectionality. I'm a disabled woman, a solo parent of a dual heritage child who is also neurodiverse, so which box don't we tick? But I would never have been published traditionally without the bright light of CBeebies illuminating me. I'm too chaotic, too random, my spelling is up the wall, I don't care about grammar, and I'd rather write the book than have to write a synopsis. Only 4% of authors are disabled. The deaf, disabled, and neurodiverse community have always had to be fiercely optimistic. We've always had to find a different path until it is second nature. Even when I came for a tour of this beautiful cathedral, there was one very strict rule. You weren't allowed to bring any hot drinks in. Well, I went to the wrong gate because of my dyslexia. I didn't understand the map. And magically, 3 women, all called Rose, yes, were passing the gate and let me in. So in I came, coffee and all, to see, once I was inside the cathedral, a cat meowing at a door. So we knocked on the door opened, and the cat vanished through it. There is magic everywhere if you are willing to see it. And on the note of magical cats, imagine, if you will, pitching this idea to your publisher. The protagonist is a girl who falls down a well. Oh, no, we can't promote children climbing into wells. Think of the risk. Oh, no, the well is safe. It starts off as a rabbit hole. She only goes in to the rabbit hole because she follows a rabbit. Why? The rabbit is late. Late for what? Well, hard to say. It's something to do with the queen who is neurotic about her garden and loves executions. There's also a dormouse and a dodo, but they aren't really central to the plot. There is an amazing tea party and several references to madness, but most importantly, there's a cat who only appears at random moments. Sometimes it's the cat's entire body. Other times it's just a head or a tail floating in the trees. So the cat is vital to the plot? Not at all. Do we need it? Absolutely. It represents magic, freedom, childhood, imagination. It symbolizes the power of make-believe. And it's northern, specifically from Cheshire. Write your book, tell your story, and be inclusive of everyone, especially Cheshire cats. Stay curiouser and curiouser. Good luck to everyone. Happy Pride. And lastly, happy 79th birthday to my brilliant dad, who is here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Carrie for that wonderful keynote. Now to the business of the evening. As I read your names out, we'd like to invite each runner-up and winner to the front of the stage to receive a certificate and have their photo taken with Carrie. If you're among the award recipients, please do try and position yourself towards the front of the crowd. And when you leave the stage, please don't rush away. Please do stay close by, as at the end of the presentation, we'll invite you back for a group photo. We'll be celebrating over 30 winners and runners-up this evening, which, while wonderful, means we, unfortunately, don't have time for individual speeches. Please do share your success on social media, though, using the hashtag SoA Awards. Everyone else, please do be generous with your applause, whoops, and whistles. These awards represent huge achievement to everyone involved. The Gordon Bowker Volcano Prize turns 5 today and is generously endowed by Ramday Bowker and Gordon Bowker, Malcolm Lowry's biographer. Thank you to this year's judges, Sula Emmanuel, Aniete Isong, and Derek Owusu. Aniete said of the shortlisted books, through their pages, the lived experiences of others become visible, offering us a chance to truly travel away from our own homes. The runner-up is Jadelen Gangbo for Ground. Jadelen, are you here? He was here. So shall we move on? The winner of the Volcano Prize is Salma Ibrahim for Salutation Road. Next, to the Somerset Maugham Awards, which have recognized outstanding works of fiction, non-fiction, and poetry since 1947. Judge Sandeep Parmar said, each of this year's winning books, in different ways, calls into question the expectations of their genres. and push readers towards complex realities. Such boldness and such bravery give me immense hope for the future of literature. She and fellow judges Akeem Balogun and Ellen Wiles selected 6 winners to celebrate here tonight. Tom Bailey for Please Don't Touch or Feed the Horses. Unfortunately, Tom cannot join us this evening, but we congratulate him anyway. Gurnek Johal for Saraswati. Gurnek is currently in India and cannot join us this evening, but we send our congratulations through the live stream. Thanks to his editor for joining us. Alice Loxton for Eleanor. A 200-mile walk in search of England's lost queen. Oluwaseun Olaiwola for Strange Beach. Lucy Rose for The Lamb. Grace Spence Green for To Exist As I Am. The traveling scholarships offer funds to authors to travel and experience the world, not in recognition of an individual piece of work, but rather the potential shown by an author where a scholarship might take them. These authors were carefully selected by panel: Brian Dillon, Joy Francis, Daniel Hahn, Louise Jury, and Johnny Pitts. Unfortunately, some of our 2026 Traveling Scholarship Award winners are unable to join us this evening. So please put your hands together for Cole Fulmine, Rosalind Harvey, Amber Hussein, JC Niala, and Nadine White. We're also pleased to celebrate the following Traveling Scholarship Award winners: Florence Skordoulis, Louise Tickle, Lillian Wilkie, Roxana Yasmin, the ALCS Tom Gallen Trust Award is for a short story of up to 5,000 words and receives hundreds of entries every year. Expertly judged for 2026 by Andre Bagu, Yen Ger, Peter Hobbs, and Ellie Williams. Of the shortlist, Judge Andre said, "Each of these stories is like unlocking a familiar house, only to discover that the rooms have been changed, the furniture has been rearranged, and the people who inhabit it have been swapped. Artful in their unsettling constructions, they dazzle as much as they challenge. illuminate as much as confound. We're delighted to announce this year's runner-up, J.G. Linus, for King of All Hogs. The winner is Leodin Niquin for Amalur. This is, of course, a pseudonym for an anonymous author, and we thank the members of the grantor team for joining on their behalf. The McKitterick Prize for debut novels by authors over 40 is by far the highest page count for reading, and that work falls to our brilliant judges, Sushmi Bhattacharya, Rebecca Foster, Amma Hussain, Wen Yen Lu, Kathy O'Shaughnessy, Nick Renison, and Tom Vowler. Of the shortlist, Judge Kathy said, "This shortlist was as wide-ranging as you could wish, examining prejudice and social anxiety on the one hand, English and Iranian eccentrics on the other, all in their joyful absurdity. But crucially, each of these novels told compelling stories showcasing literary talent and multiple forms." The runner-up for the McKitterick Prize is Patrick Ryan for Buckeye. Patrick cannot join us this evening, so we send our congratulations through the live stream. This year's winner is Vijay Kurana for The Passenger Seat. The Queen's Knickers Award, I tried not to snicker, but I love that name. The Queen's Knickers Award, which is generously founded by Nicholas Allen for books that strike a quirky yet new note and grab the attention of a child, whether this be in the form of curiosity, amusement, horror, or excitement. Judges Jasmine Richards, Ella MacLeod, and Harry Woodgate selected a shortlist covering all these notes. Judge Ella said, "These shortlisted books have something in common. They trust the reader to handle some big ideas, and yet they deliver these ideas lightly and deftly. We were looking for stories that we believe children would want to return to time and time again, and those books that are just as quirky and distinctive as the readers they will delight." The 2026 runners-up are Katie Clapham and Nadia Shireen for The Tour at School. Nadia is traveling at the moment and unable to attend, but Katie is here to accept the award. The winner is X-Fang for We Are Definitely Humans. They cannot join us in person, so we send our congratulations through the live stream. Our Chumley Awards are a particularly special set of awards given to those who have made significant contribution to poetry over the course of their ongoing careers. Judge Fred Degas said, "Poets confess to weeping when they hear that they won a Chumley Award. They consider the award to be the highest achievement of their writing lives. There isn't a t-shirt that says, 'I won a Chumley,' or a tattoo, or a tote bag, or a brand of tea or coffee, but the honorific is emblazoned on the souls of all who have been graced with it." The judges this year were Roma Lynn Anter, Malika Booker, Fred Degas, and Lachlan McKinnon, and together they selected some brilliant poets. We send our congratulations through the live stream to Nick Makoha, Jack Mapanje, and Andre Nafis Saheli, who are unable to make it today, but represented by their agents and editors. Please do put your hands together for our remaining Chumley Award winners. Kim Moore, Joelle Taylor. The second set of poetry awards this evening are our Eric Gregory Awards for the encouragement of young poets. Judge Jasmine Dargosi said, "Judging the Eric Gregory Awards this year has sent me both to other worlds and pulled me deeper into this one. We have read voices that range from snappy and lucid to sparse and desolate to mystical and fey-like in its lyricism. What has been consistent is the ability of each winner to make me pause at a line, take a breath in the middle of a poem, or mutter, 'wow,' under my breath." Our thanks go to our judging panel, Victoria Adukwe-Boulay, Caroline Bird, Jasmine Gardosi, Roy McFarlane, Jenny Mitchell, and Rosie Miles, and for the hard work of selecting these winning poets. Jack Cooper for 16 Psyche, Ellie Grant for The Waiting Game. Bethany Handley for Killing Film. Rensi Rakid for The Rot Takes Time. Anna Stockdale for Smithereens. The Betty Trask Prize for a debut novel by a writer under 35 enjoys the largest individual award of this evening, with £10,000 going to the winner. We're grateful to our judges, Andrew Cowan, Daisy Lafarge, and Stephanie Serkia, for picking such an incredible shortlist. Judge Andrew Cowan said of the shortlisted books, "Year after year, the Betty Trask Awards shines a light on the future of the contemporary novel, rewarding not just one exceptional debut, but recognizing the sheer range of approaches and making outstanding new fictions. This year's 6 novels could not be more different or in keeping with that tradition of excellence. Congratulations to the winner of the Betty Trask Prize, Harriet Armstrong, for To Rest Our Minds and Bodies. Harriet is traveling this evening, but we will close this evening with a video of a few words of thanks and a reading from this special novel.
Hello. Thank you so much for the Betty Trask Prize, which means so much to me. I've loved so many past winners of this prize and so many winners of Betty Trask Awards and the other books on this list as well. So I'm really moved and really honoured. Thank you so much to the judges and the Society of Authors and everybody else associated with this prize. It still feels surreal to me, really, to think of even one person reading and connecting with this book. So this is so meaningful to me and not something I'd ever have imagined happening when I wrote this book. So thank you so much. I also want to thank my wonderful editor, Cecile Lee, for all her work in editing the book and getting it to so many readers and critics, and just for taking it seriously when I first sent it to her as a random unpublished person. And I also want to thank my amazing agent, George Morgan, for all his support and advice and insight and just all his work on my behalf. I can't imagine doing any of these things without George. And most importantly, thank you so much to all the readers and everyone who has spent time with this book. And again to the judges for their generous reading of it. Thank you so much, and I'm just going to read a short extract from it. I was assigned a dissertation project and a supervisor in the Department of Developmental Psychology. My dissertation project turned out to be a sort of basic labour. I had to watch these videos someone had taken of babies sitting on a rag and surrounded by various objects. By looking at each individual frame of each video, I had to identify the moments at which the babies first touched the objects and the moments when they let them go. Then I logged the timings of those moments into a spreadsheet. I really spent hours looking closely at the hands of babies as they moved towards and then away from the material world. There was some suggestion that babies who touched more things might be better at speaking. That was the suggestion we were trying to test. My dissertation group went for dinner so that we could all meet each other. Everyone in the group was a woman, so we had a conversation about being women in academic contexts. People had terrible stories about supervisors asking them out or making lewd comments about their bodies and appearances. I had no stories to share. I didn't understand what it was that shielded me from these sorts of situations. I was grateful, of course, but it did worry me. Was the fact that nothing bad ever happened to me linked with the fact that nothing happened to me at all? Somehow through existing, I repelled action. A few days after I returned to university, I went to my favourite cafe in the city. The cafe had horrible watery coffee, but was full of small cheap treats like tiny soft cookies, and it looked out over this field and river. All the walls were glass, so it was easy to see everything that was happening there beside that field and river. You could see this man-made waterfall and a long trail of little empty boats and people walking dogs out in the distance, and a woman reading a newspaper. Then out of the windows on the other side of the cafe were the tops of houses. I saw two houses joined together by a kind of glass box or passageway. It looked like a greenhouse and really fascinated me. Wouldn't the glass break upon contact, break and shatter onto the pavement below as soon as somebody set foot in it? I closed my eyes and I imagined the feeling. Small shards of glass falling straight from the sky. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Cerrie Burnell, Vanessa Fox O'Loughlin, and the Very Reverend Dr. Mark Oakley and Southwark Cathedral for hosting us this evening. Thanks as well to our generous sponsors, especially to ALCS, who sponsor this evening's ceremony, as well as our fantastic judges, and to the SoA staff, and in particular, the events, communications, and prizes teams, who put huge work into the smooth running of this event and make this celebration possible. Please join us in toasting our winners, our summer party, which will continue until 9 p.m. in the nave and the courtyard, and we'd love you to share the highlights of this evening online with the hashtag SoA Awards. I hope you'll be raising a glass at home as well if you've joined us over the live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Please could I welcome all the winners and runners-up back to the front of the stage for a quick photo before you enjoy the rest of the evening. Shortlisted authors, please head over to the table next to the photo board to collect your certificates. Thank you.